Welcome to the Social Priority Podcast on Star Panda TV. I'm Star Panda, here with Gigi Norez, writer and adult entertainer. So, how are you doing?
I am doing all right. Just trying to keep it cool because it's been a scorcher for the past 2 days.
Oh yeah, I felt that.
Oh boy. Shades drawn. I keep the shades drawn. I keep the air conditioning going. I'll pay the bill. It's too hot.
Yeah. So what drew you to, let's say, what drew you to writing?
Let's see. I don't want to say that it kind of happened one day, because that's not entirely the truth. It started when I was in school and I had to do writing assignments in elementary, and I just sort of kept going from there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Part of my writing also has to do with my love of reading. I feel like if you love one, you might love the other. And so that's sort of where I got my start. Poetry was a very good entryway for me.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So when did the erotic elements in your writing become an interest?
Oh boy, when I discovered fan fiction in my teens.
Usually where it starts.
It happens to a lot of people. That is their first entryway into erotic writing. It actually started a little bit slightly earlier, when I discovered my grandparents' collection of Western novels. They're Western novellas, and they had sex scenes in them. And the covers, this is going to be so terrible, but the covers were always the same. And you would see like one woman who's like in a sexually suggestive pose, or, you know, there's this guy who's kissing her or whatever. Mm-hmm. And like that drew me to it. And so like I'm just flipping through, and then all of a sudden I realize I'm reading a sex scene. And I'm like, wow, this stuff is hot. And then I discovered fan fiction like 2 years later, and I was in awe, to say the least. And I'm like, I like this stuff. I really like this stuff. And so one thing led to another, and now I am on a steady diet of filth. Almost taking it intravenously.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So, what brought you into being an adult entertainer?
Well, being an adult entertainer is partially because of my exhibitionist tendencies. And then also part of it is me realizing that I'm hot, and being able to increase my self-esteem that I didn't have before. When I grew up, I was not considered particularly attractive, and I didn't go on dates and things like that. And so I felt like I was homely most of the time. And then, like, as I started getting into hair and makeup and things like that, I did get some attention, but after that, it's sort of one thing sort of led to another. One of my former boyfriends suggested I get into camming, and I didn't like camming, and I didn't like the relationship, but I wanted to do more than just post hot photos. And so that's when I got into like OnlyFans and doing custom content. Oh yeah, and part of it also has to do with cosplay. I like cosplaying hot characters. And so I feel like it I don't want to say that it's two sides of the same coin, because that's not necessarily true for everyone. But if I like wearing costumes of hot characters, then I like wearing, revealing clothes and things like that. And so it's like a gateway type thing.
So it takes a lot of embracing your own self-worth, huh?
It does. And it also, like, I find it fun. I find it fun because, like, even though I'm on the gray ace spectrum, I think uh, I think there's a lot of fun to be had with erotic humor, dirty jokes, and visual gags and things like that. I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of humor. There's a lot of humor involved. There's a lot of connecting with other people involved. It's not just the surface level stuff, and I think that's a mistake that a lot of people make. Um, Sex is fun. It's funny. And it's also serious business, but it can't be all just seriousness. Um, I think there's a lot that goes into it, and I think a lot of people miss that part.
So did it take a lot of like a learning curve and everything, like getting into
Hmm.
adult work on your own?
Yeah. The thing is that sex work is work, and there's a lot of what you don't see. Like, for instance, the stuff that I do is strictly amateur. I originally did work with a photographer, but ever since I stopped working with said photographer, all of my stuff is homemade and it looks homemade. And I live in an apartment too. And so it's a lot of making do with what I have, and hopefully someone appreciates that particular aspect of it. Um, the more resources you have, the more you're able to do. If you work for a studio, for instance, you can do full length sexual films or erotic films. If you work with a lot of people, you have a lot of options for filming content, whether it be solo, duo, threesome, or orgy type content. And a lot of it is also distance. If you have money, you can travel. There are some sex workers who do travel to different states to shoot content with people. You pay them and you get to shoot content with them. Or, that's just one business model. So there's a bit of a learning curve to what you're physically able to do and what kind of content you're able to put out.
How did you learn, like, let's say, what you would be comfortable with?
Hmm. Well, I first did a nude shoot for um, a cosplay an erotic cosplay modeling site, and I forget the why am I forgetting the name of it? Oh my gosh. But the owner is Noelle Cypress. You can find her on Twitter and on Instagram. But it's um it's a site where you can find people who do cosplay erotic shoots and videos, and they are, excuse me, and they are very inclusive of all body types and sizes and skin colors. Uh, and that's where I first got my start. And I did a full nude shoot for Jobii. Basically, it was progressive nudity. Like, I start off fully clothed and I start taking off layers and whatnot before I'm totally naked. And um, that that kind of sealed the deal. I think the first thing you have to do is figure out if you're comfortable being naked or not.
Hmm.
And my holdover from cams was um, I'm pretty comfortable with being naked, but being naked's kind of boring. So I like to spice it up in different ways.
Makes sense.
Hmm.
Since you do enjoy it, uh, is another reason you enjoy it the source of money, or does that not play much into it?
Well, I would like to make more money, but the thing is, I have to work. I'm one of the sex workers who is only able to do sex work when I'm not working, and I have another job outside of this, and I'm working about 6 days a week,
Mm-hmm.
and I also spend time commuting by bus to my job, and so because of that, I'm usually very tired when I get home. And I want to unwind. And sometimes I don't have the energy to shoot on the weekdays, the weekends. So I'm not a full-time sex worker. And along with my current break from social media, I'm not really posting content at this time. So if I'm not posting content, I'm not making money.
Right.
And I also don't have any filming partners at this time, and I only want to film with people I know and trust, but the people that I would film with are in different states, so I'm not able to do that.
Yeah.
Um, so my sex work is when I can, where I can. I do have, customs available for people who want to request them, but, those are few and far in between, surprisingly.
Yeah.
Yeah, people are kind of weird, but I know that, the economy is rough on everybody, and sex workers especially take a big hit when you got shit like inflation going on. And so I'm suffering, but other people are definitely suffering as well.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Would you say your own skin color can play into how you're treated in sex work?
Oh boy. Yeah. You may not have noticed, I'm using sarcasm here. You may not have noticed that the porn industry is incredibly racist.
Oh yeah.
And it is. Um, black female porn stars or black femme porn stars make the least out of everyone, and it's due to our preconceived hypersexuality. We're already assumed to be hypersexual, and so that makes us quote unquote like dirty or whatever, or fair play or all use. Um,
Jesus.
and it's extremely gross. So people try to haggle a lot with me for my prices. A lot of people also steal aesthetics from black sex workers, and it's just man, it's just a lot. I don't even they try to undercut my prices, they haggle, they harass, they say all sorts of shit to us online, and you know just to make us mad, and then they don't pay us for anything, but then they also demand that we post lots of nudes and shit, and they want us to subscribe to stereotypes, and it's just a long laundry list of complaints that I have. And so, yeah, part of my struggles in the sex industry are skin color related. Um, Black women are considered to be sexual already, and so they just expect us to be able to do anything and everything and to be okay with anything and everything, regardless of how we actually feel about it. There's a lot of boundary crossing and disrespect that black sex workers deal with, and I've dealt with it. That's part of the reason why I don't do cams anymore, because I don't want to deal with people heckling me real time and not giving me any fucking tokens.
Oh my god. Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, you need everything from websites taking out, a bit of our earnings to, you need to make a certain amount of tokens in order to pay out. And when people aren't giving you tokens, but they're just coming to harass you, it's like, what do you do?
Yeah.
It's a pain in the ass. It's a pain in the ass. Yeah.
since we already started in the interview section,
Yes.
about basically talking about sex work,
Yes.
let's get a little bit deeper into those details.
Sure.
So, what are those specific complaints that you had about the sex industry?
Okay, so I already told you about how black sex workers get paid the least compared to their white counterparts. There's also the fetishization that goes on that is extremely fucking annoying. It's something that was labeled as misogynoir, and misogynoir is basically the misogyny that is specifically experienced by Black women. So the very specific hatred that people have for us, while also copying us and stealing our stuff and not giving us credit, is the same. It's a double-edged sword. People admire us from afar, but they don't want to admit that. So they do a lot of like really nasty stuff to us. I It's been a minute, but I get shit in my inbox from people who don't read my profile. I say don't DM me. If you're gonna make requests, make it on my OnlyFans. And people don't follow any of those directions. They just want to make fun of you, or they want to play for free. And a lot of pretty much all sex workers deal with this to varying degrees, but for Black women it's extremely egregious because they flat out do not respect us, and they do not see us as people who are doing work and providing a service. So they harass us, don't give us money, and they also steal from us. And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Even if I'm not doing sex work, like I even get for being like trans and Black and whatever, I also get like those kinds of harassment type of things. Like I see it just about everywhere. Not everywhere, but like like a lot of places online I see it, and it just makes me uncomfortable when people
it's terrible. It's worse if you are trans and disabled, and I mean that because I do follow trans and disabled sex workers, and I see the shit, just the shit that they go through, and it pisses me off. And I try to be very vocal about it on my platform that we do not tolerate transphobia or ableism, but they just take it and run with it, and it's so gross and it's so nasty. And I try to tip trans and disabled sex workers when I have the money to, because one, they deserve it, because they're beautiful, hot, and engaging, and they deserve money. And so I try to give money whenever I can, but it's so frustrating knowing the intersections of all of this, and just how people flat out don't want to respect you for your work that you do. It's maddening, to say the least.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But the good thing, there's a lot of good though, where there are lots of Black sex workers who not only acknowledge the intersections but are fiercely defensive of each other. You have fat sex workers who are actually like the epitome of wonderful, who point out a lot of stuff that goes on and some stuff that I wasn't even aware of initially. And because of that awareness, I can now call that shit out whenever I see it on
Hmm.
my platform, which is great.
Yeah, that's great.
There's a really weird detail, but like some sex workers don't want to share where they got their stuff from.
Hmm.
Like I don't do this personally because I don't believe in um no, you can't wear the same lingerie that I do, even though we're all literally shopping at the same brands. Um like
Yeah, that's a little
people
odd.
that's really, really weird to me because I feel like there's some insecurity involved. Um, like with black sex workers, there is a lot of refusing to recognize us as individuals. So you will have people who will call you another sex worker name, even though you two look nothing alike. Or if you guys have similar aesthetics, they just think that, you know, you're all the same. And like I think I addressed this on my Twitter, but I said that if they can't tell you apart from another sex worker, that's literally their problem and not yours. It's
Hmm.
not that you're not unique enough, it's that they are being willfully dense and refusing to see us all as individuals. And we're not going to look the same either. We might have similar aesthetics, which is what happens when um, you have a lot of geek and gamer sex workers who, you know, we buy our costumes from the same place. We buy our makeup from the same place. It just doesn't really add up. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
Personally, I always share my secrets. I always like when I post my outfits on Instagram, I will usually tag where I got them from, where I got my outfits from. So that way people can, if they want something, if they want an item that I have, they'll be able to get it. Because I believe that people deserve nice things and they should also know where to get them, where
Hmm.
to get it. So I'm weirded out by that sort of thing. And I never get upset with someone who wears the same thing that I do because we both are hot and so we both have good taste. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't get it. It really isn't. Um, I'm not that kind of person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not that kind of person. But it's a weird thing that happened, and I'm baffled by it.
Yeah, I see some YouTubers acting that way too. Like just um like if somebody asks another person, "Hey, can you uh I guess point me in the direction of like good uh like equipment, maybe like a microphone or like maybe a certain recording software or something." Like some people will be very like uptight about that. Um Thankfully there are a lot of people who will actually tell you where they got that shit from, but yeah,
Yeah,
there's those people out there who are just like tight-lipped about the weirdest things.
yeah. I've seen YouTubers post in their description where they got their items from, which is very, very nice.
Hmm.
They're very, very kind when they do that. Um, but yeah, people getting tight-lipped about stuff like equipment or whatever is really, really weird to me, and I will never understand why. You should be more secure in yourself and your work, um, rather than being cruel to people. That's just the way I believe it. Now, on the other hand, though, um, there are some people who want to pick your brain for information and stuff without paying you for your time. And I can understand why people get upset about that. But if we're
Yeah.
just talking about equipment and clothes and or like plushies or games, like please chill. Please chill.
Yeah.
Gosh.
So, how much do you follow sex work decriminalization?
I try to keep up to date on it. I'm trying to keep up to date on it, but since I'm not heavily connected right now, I would have to say that I'm not reading up on it right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I am all for sex worker decriminalization, and I do want to work with sex workers in my state to get this shit decriminalized. Because if we don't decriminalize sex work, literally every single area of sex work is going to get thrown under the bus, and only the rich people will be able to afford their, their sex parties and their porn.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of work. Um and I believe that the decriminalization of sex work is going to be right alongside defunding um or actually abolishing police and the decriminalization of drugs as
Mm-hmm.
well. It's going to be a lot of things that go together. Um, I don't think I can necessarily talk about one without talking about the other, but the fact that the police are such a problem for sex workers, especially full service sex workers, um, and the drug industry, or recreational drug use. That's what I should say. Recreational drug use is also um, a problem only because of the police.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
it harms. I've like read up a bit on drug and sex work decriminalization, and it looks like basically that if you decriminalize this stuff, it will be like safer for everyone to either get like the help they need. Like they're not going to get in trouble if they're like doing drugs, and like they will be able to get to like a what's it called, like the
are you
like
referring to safe injection sites?
yes, that's what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
without worrying about getting in trouble.
Yes. You're 100% correct on that. And actually, this also ties into free healthcare. Uh, uh, you see how like extraordinarily interconnected all these things are. It's like one thing definitely leads to another. The decriminalization of sex work means that sex workers should be able to operate within parameters without losing their vanilla jobs and without being harassed by law enforcement. This also means that drugs should also be decriminalized, much like weed has been decriminalized in St. Joseph County. Or is it all? Is it all of Michigan? It's all of Michigan, right?
I have no idea.
I'm not entirely sure. I'm not exactly a weed smoker, but the
I
decriminalization will make what's the word? It'll make drugs safer. It removes the element of crime. It removes the element of crime, and I think a lot of people either do drugs once or twice just to get out of their system, or people who will use drugs regularly or recreationally will not experience what's the word I'm looking for? They won't experience the shit that is law enforcement and the medical system. That's what I would want for everyone. I would want for everyone who would like to experiment with drugs to be able to do so if they're above a certain age, like 18 or 21, between those ages.
mm-hmm.
Um,
And
And
do
I
it
don't
safely, right?
Yeah, I want people to be able to do drugs safely. Um, I don't want people to, OD and be worried about hospital bills or things like that. I want them to be able uh, to do this safely, and I don't want their jobs and livelihoods to be at risk, especially when rich people are so notorious for using drugs themselves. It's hypocritical that rich people should be able to, indulge in all the quote unquote vice that they want, while poor people are expected to do without, I
Mm-hmm.
guess. Yeah, that's my that's what I personally believe and I want to see happen.
So you were talking about decriminalization of marijuana, or was it drugs overall?
Drugs overall. I was just using the fact that where you and I live, there are dispensaries opening up left and right, left, right, and center. I actually think we have too many dispensaries, to tell you the truth. Um, but
Yeah.
we got dispensaries so people can buy weed. Um, they can buy edibles, they can buy gummies, they can buy CBD oil, and I'm glad for that. But I want businesses to stop testing for drugs, and I want people who want to do, other things to be able to do them in a safe environment where they won't lose their jobs, provided that they don't show up to work like hungover
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. Actually, now that I think about it, if you are functional yet hungover, you can show up to work.
Really?
I think so. I think that's true for a lot of what do I want to say, blue collar jobs that don't involve moving heavy machinery. I'm probably speaking out of turn, so hopefully
Mm-hmm.
I'm not wrong. But we accept people being hungover so much, then why do we not accept people who are coming off of a trip or
Yeah.
whatever? It's just hypocritical. The way we think about alcohol, we don't remember that it's an actual drug that people use. And so people get really weird about it.
So it looks like with weed, it was completely legalized in Michigan. I don't
Hmm.
know if like they have restrictions in certain counties, but it does have an overall
Okay.
legalization.
All right.
For psychedelics, it looks like there were some issues with that because there were concerns over um, possible legal liabilities. I'm basically just looking at a
Okay.
random article right
Okay.
now, but
I
yeah,
think
that's
I
something I would have to look into later.
Okay, yeah, I would definitely have to do more research on it. I definitely do have concerns about psychedelics, especially since, not everyone should do psychedelics.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that's something that needs to be discussed on a much larger platform, as I am just one person and I am not
Mm-hmm.
an expert. And I also don't necessarily consider myself to be a drug user. I don't necessarily smoke. I do smoke socially, and I do drink socially as well.
Yeah.
But um, drugs are not exactly my quote unquote thing, if you will.
Yeah, I don't really drink that often. I don't smoke at all, actually. But I do think that people should be able to do those things in a safe way. Um,
Hmm.
and I think like decriminalization, especially for like some of the harder drugs, would be helpful in like either research or uh, just helping people get the help that they need. So
Agreed.
yeah,
Agreed.
I think the same thing would be safer for sex workers too. Like
Yep.
just decriminalizing sex work would keep those people safer.
Yeah.
And like you would
And
be able to report if something was going wrong in like sex trafficking and stuff like that
yeah.
without being like outed for doing something that other people might not like.
Yeah. That's the whole issue with Sesta Fosta. Basically,
Yeah.
it was a thing that got signed into law that was supposed to crack down on sex trafficking online, but it had the exact opposite effect.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I was
yeah,
disappointed in that law.
I was furious, and sex worker Twitter erupted. Um, it was, oh my goodness. I could talk about it. I could talk about this for a while. Because God, I am so pissed off about that. It caused such trouble. Uh, the thing is that if you shut down sex worker spaces online, you drive sex workers underground, where we are put at risk of pimps and law enforcement and people who want to exploit you in general. But
Right.
guess what you also do? You drive the traffickers underground.
Right.
So now we can't get customers and you can't find victims. And it's all because you did it in the name of helping us, air quotes, without listening to a single fucking sex worker. And oh my God, like there's a whole problem when people try to make laws for um, people that they don't talk to. Um, Making laws for sex workers without speaking to actual sex workers and finding out what we want, and just thinking that, oh, if we crack down on this, it's going to make people safer, when it doesn't. God,
Yeah, I feel like with laws like these, they need to talk to more people in that sort of area of expertise.
yeah,
Um, Especially if the law itself is going to like make a certain system much less safe for those people who might be most at risk of what you're trying to protect them from.
it's very similar to how uh, the U.S. doesn't want to implement actual gun control for people, and
Hmm.
instead try to do all these other stupid things like arm teachers and put more police in schools, when it's been proven that that does not make people safer, and it actually makes things much more harmful. Uh, uh, it's it's just so much, so much will go wrong from people doing these things, and that's what pisses me off. Can I share one particular instance of Sesta Fosta impacting like my work online?
Yeah, of course.
So there was this website called Project, I think it was Menad, uh, where you could upload your content and you could send links to people, and those links would expire after a certain amount of time. uh like you have like for instance, someone purchases content from you, you give them a link and say, okay, you can download the content from this link, and it's only going to last for so long, and then it's going to disappear. Like that was one of the I didn't even get to actually use it, because when I found out about it, they said, okay, well, because of Sesta Fosta, we can't work for people in the US anymore. And
That's so dumb.
so, yeah. So my account ended up getting deleted. Uh, my account ended up getting deleted, and they just did not work for people in the US anymore. And that pissed me off, because I needed a way to be able to give people my content, but to prevent them from, you know, I don't want to say it was not going to prevent people from, reselling it or mass producing it or whatever,
Right.
but at least, the links would expire or whatever, and people would have to pay again. Um, and I think you could also sell stuff on their platform as well. Um, but like, that would have been so helpful to me personally, but they because of Sesta Fosta, I'm not able to use that particular service.
Yeah.
And so now the only thing I really have to choose between is trying to work at a club or working solely online. And I chose the working solely online part, for now at least.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes.
What would you say to people to keep themselves safe and if they're planning on going into this sort of work?
Well, first of all, safety is really hard because you can do everything right, but then like you can still run into problems. And so the first thing I try to do is um oh boy, there's so many. One of them is I really only sell on OnlyFans. Because on OnlyFans you have to verify your age and everything in order
Mm-hmm.
to purchase content. So that way I know that only people who are of age are purchasing my content. And let's see. Also, you have to be willing to understand that like when you make porn, people are going to see it.
Mm-hmm.
I think there seems to be some sort of misconception that when you make porn, only certain people will see it, and that's not really the case
Yeah.
because a lot more people look at porn than you think. Uh, a lot of people look at porn, and the risk of someone you don't want to see seeing your porn is, 100%. The chances of someone seeing your porn is probably 100%. On top of websites that, upload stolen porn, to the fact that people will go and look for porn themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You should not do porn if you don't want a particular person seeing your porn, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think there was a story recently, maybe in the past couple months, where there was a mother who had basically, I think she did porn at once at some point, and people basically found out who she was or what she did, and decided to send it to her child. It was so fucked up.
That is beyond fucked up actually, because one, sending porn to children is like against the law.
Yeah.
So the fact that they did that is vile and gross, and they need their redacted, redacted, redacted. Uh, that is a very evil thing to do. That is a very evil thing to do, and it also shits on people who do survival sex work. And a lot of people have done survival sex work, whether anyone wants to believe it or not. Your mom might have done survival sex work. And
Mm-hmm.
for some people, marriage is survival sex work. If you really want to get into it.
Jesus.
What those people did was gross.
Yeah.
And it is one of the risks that come with doing sex work. And I would like to think that if my relatives were to discover, my porn online, I would hope that they would click away, because I'm more weirded out by them sitting and watching it and then telling me, "Yeah, I found your porn." And and then like it's less surprising that someone has, saw my porn, clicked away, rather than them sitting there and watching it and then going to ask me questions later. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it says more about them sitting there watching it and then going to you and saying, "Oh my goodness, you're so gross, you're so immoral, you're so terrible," when, you know, you're wondering how in the world they came across it. It's just very hypocritical.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
But that's one of the things that you have to be willing to risk with porn. In a perfect world, it wouldn't matter your occupation, what you decide to do with your body, um, should not affect you negatively, especially when, you know, as women, as women and femme presenting people are expected to, uh, use our looks when we're told that we're nothing but our looks. And so we go on ahead and use our looks to get money. No one has the right to shit on us for it when that's literally what they told us to do.
Right.
You know, um, safety also, like, never reveal like where you live. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
that's another really huge one.
It's kind of an online thing to do.
Yeah, very much so. I only say that I am Michigan based. Some people who live in Chicago mention like they're in Chicago or whatever, but I just say that I'm based in Michigan, and I would hope that people would have the decency to not try to like find me or whatever, but there are some really gross, unbelievable characters out there, and that's unfortunate.
It's a
That's
word for it.
unfortunate. They're gross. It's a really gross thing. You think that people would have the common decency to not try to come and find you to try to fulfill some sort of like weird fantasy or whatever, but there are people out there who will do it. It happens to VTubers, it happens to YouTubers, it happens to models, all down the line. You just have to keep your pepper spray, keep your knife, keep your gun on hand, and just be prepared to, prepare to get violent.
Prepare to defend
Uh,
yourself,
yeah,
basically.
prepare to defend yourself. Prepare to get violent. If you are confronted by someone who's stalking you, do whatever you need to do. Honestly, do whatever you need to do. Law
Yeah.
enforcement is not helpful. Um, Law enforcement is really not helpful when it comes to stalking cases. Um, and that is extremely disheartening. They'll usually say, well, no violence was committed, so, uh, you know,
Can't do anything until they
yeah,
get violent with you,
yeah,
which
they
is,
won't. And then sometimes you'll be the person who gets in trouble.
yeah,
Like, as Black women, we have to pick and choose our battles very, very carefully, because even if we're defending ourselves, people will find ways to punish you. And law enforcement is no different. Law enforcement is not your friend at all. And especially if you are a Black person, or other minority, the law enforcement's not your friend. And so be prepared to do what you need to do. And don't forget to document behavior. Document as much behavior as you can
yeah,
if you
definitely.
find yourself being stalked by a person, because you will need as much evidence as you can get your hands on if you end up having to go to court with this person. And I'm only saying that as a matter of fact thing, where stalking is not taken seriously until someone is physically harmed. And even then, um, a lot of times law enforcement will just throw their hands up because they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate, but do whatever you can for your own safety. And if you feel that you might not be safe doing sex work, you might not want to do sex work. Um, I don't ever want to discourage anyone from doing what they want to do, but if it's too risky for you personally, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't advise anyone to do it.
Yeah, that's a good point. So,
Oh boy.
crypto fell recently.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Who would have thunk? Oh my goodness. Crypto failing? Who could have foreseen such tragedy? Well, I'm glad that nobody fell for that scam because they would have lost a lot of money.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, some of them are even denying flat out that they lost money. Like, it's a lot of denial out there going on.
Oh boy. Well, you know the stages of grief.
Yeah.
The stages of grief and all, but oh boy. You know, I want to be sympathetic, especially to the victims, the families. The real victims are the families of the people who are who invested in crypto without thinking of the consequences, and who are now currently dealing with that.
Yeah, they were doing it without the proper knowledge of, like, these kinds of
Yes,
things.
and you know, it's as a poor person, I'll openly admit that I'm poor, but as a poor person, I run off the knowledge or the understanding that I cannot afford to fall for Ponzi schemes, or I cannot afford to fall for get rich quick schemes. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Making a foolish investment negatively will negatively impact me for a long time. And so I did not invest in any crypto personally because it looked like a scam from the outside, especially when a lot of rich people were investing in it. And you know the saying, you need to have money to make money?
Yeah.
That's what came into play here. And when there was a bunch of rich people telling a bunch of poor people to invest in something, it was so they could get money.
Right.
And a lot of people did not see that. And it's very unfortunate.
Yeah, they
Uh,
were basically telling them to invest just so the stock prices would go up, and those people who were telling them would get rich and then could just bow out when they wanted to, when they had enough money.
yep. And a lot of people didn't realize that that was what was happening. And oh boy, I don't know what to say. Like I'm still just as poor as I was when I started off, but people are losing their entire livelihoods to uh crypto. And it's saddening. Crypto, NFTs, the whole nine yards. It's a massive mess. It's a shit show. Like people are straight up fucked
Yeah.
from this whole thing, and I feel sorry for not for the people who invested, but the families of the people who invested, because I think those are the real victims.
Yeah.
Um, it's the same thing with MLM schemes.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's true.
it's the same thing with MLM schemes, and crypto was just another part of it. And I hope that people realize after this that millionaires, billionaires, and celebrities are not your friends.
Definitely.
Uh, I think I think COVID has helped a little bit. But I think a lot of people are starting to learn that their favorite quote unquote down to earth celebrities and personalities are out of touch millionaires who don't actually care about them and are only trying to push product to keep their pockets lined. And if no one can see that by now, then I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know
Yeah.
what to tell them. Uh,
Yeah. I wish people would be a little more aware of what's going on with that stuff, but yeah.
I think people. I think a lot of people mistakenly believe that uh, because someone has a lot of money, whatever they say must be true. I think a lot of people have a tendency to believe that that money equals authority,
Hmm.
and I hope that we shy away from that in the future because that is absolutely not true. Um, oof. I can only hope, though. I can only hope.
Yeah. Um, so let's see. Let me bring this up. So Texas GOP has a new platform. It is a lot. It's many pages. Looks
Okay.
like 40 pages of documents.
Oh
Um,
God. Oh boy.
basically, and let me send this to you. Uh,
It's through the Discord.
yeah.
Alrighty. Oh boy.
So
What? Sorry. I am so sorry. Like you sent it to me, and the link, the little blurb in the link says, "We reject the certified results of the 2020 presidential election." The Republican Party of Texas says, referring to President Biden as the acting leader.
yeah,
Oh my
they just
God.
blatantly uphold the what media is calling the big lie. They're just making
Oh,
it their platform that Joe Biden didn't win, and they're just lying to their
oh.
constituents that, like, yeah, Trump was the real winner and all that stuff.
I,
It's ridiculous.
oh my God. What am I supposed to say to this? I'm sorry. But like, I don't know where to begin. Oh, in Texas, secession is a perennial idea that tends to bloom when a Democrat holds the Oval Office. After former President Obama won his first term, for instance, the state's governor, Rick Perry, hinted, and that's a highlighted point, which leads to another article, that Texans might consider exiting the union.
That's
And
just giving the whole game away, isn't it?
well, I mean, aside from, saying the quiet part out loud and knowing that Texas has a power grid that's separate from the rest of the US, um, I, man, I wonder what, man, Texas is going through it. I, wow. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not that I wasn't expecting this. No, but man, this is a lot.
Yeah.
You were correct. This is absolutely a lot. And Texas has always been a when we talk about those states, when in the US, when we're talking about those states, Texas is one of those states that is very loud about the dumpster fire
Hmm.
that they are. We got Texas, we got Florida. We make jokes about Kentucky and California, and like these are big states with lots of people and lots of surface area that cannot get it together. Oh my God.
That's a good way to put it. Um,
Ah,
so not only with that big lie that they're telling, they have they're
yeah.
also with the platform. They're basically saying that homosexuality is like a bad lifestyle choice. I'm
Oh,
paraphrasing,
wonderful.
but like it's
Yeah.
like they're going full like just completely like far right. It's like
Yes.
they're against what was it? Children transitioning, which is
Yes.
ridiculous because like they need that to live.
Yeah. It is
Um
literal healthcare and life saving what's the word? Practice, procedure. What do you want to call it? It's literally saving lives.
yeah.
It's life saving healthcare for trans people of all ages, actually. Um, and God, I hate it. I hate this so fucking much. I hate this so fucking much.
Yeah.
I I don't even like I'm completely out of words because I'm just saying like I fucking hate this shit over and over and over again. It is evil to say the least. And being saying evil is putting it extremely lightly. I need a stronger word.
Yeah.
I need a stronger word than evil, but this is so disgusting and inhumane because God, these are real people. These are not imaginary hypotheticals. These are real people, real children, real teenagers, real adults who are being told that like your existence is evil and we're gonna make it so we would rather you kill yourselves than you being able to live happy and healthily.
Mhm.
And they said it with their chest, basically. Um, and Texas is the source of so many problems in the U.S. and this stuff is spreading. Um,
Yeah, I
this
don't
is the way the U.S. has always been.
yeah. I don't know how much we'll be able to get to, but one more thing that I want to go into for with their platform is basically they want to outlaw like drugs that are used for abortions, and not only is that bad for people who want abortions, it's also bad for people who have like who need those drugs because those drugs aren't necessarily for abortion. Like some of them use
Yeah.
them for miscarriages, like to protect themselves so they don't die. You
Yes.
know, it's
I
there's
got a
just
word
no
too.
foresight for these kinds of things that they're saying.
People don't understand. People don't understand what birth control does,
Yeah.
and people don't understand what birth control is. And I can say this with confidence because I came from a background that was pro-life, and they do not like birth control, and when because they believe that kills the baby before it's born. Basically, the belief that life begins at conception before anything actually develops. Um, before anything before anything actually develops in the fetus, like they believe that zygote is alive. And it's so faulty on so many levels. I can't even properly, adequately explain this because this is absolutely a fucked up thing to believe. Because what are you going to tell people who have like ridiculously early miscarriages?
Yeah.
You know, or oh God, I wish I could adequately um express this because birth control or the medicine that we perceive as birth control actually treats a lot of symptoms in people who have uteruses.
Mm-hmm.
Endometriosis is a very big one. Actually, it affects a lot of uterus havers. Trans men who have not been able to get hysterectomies uh, use birth control so they don't get pregnant. Non-binary people who have uteruses use that so that they won't get pregnant. Like the thing stacks. Uh, all this stuff absolutely stacks, and it basically ends up. What it all ends up being is just a way to control um, the bodies of people who have uteruses and to try to reinforce uh, um, cis heteronormativity as a tool of white supremacy,
Mm-hmm.
basically. Capitalistic, patriarchy, um, white supremacy, whole nine yards, all of that is wrapped up in one big bow. And it starts by, well, it starts a lot. It starts at, with attacking people's bodies.
Right.
And this is going to get really fucking ugly because when you're outlawing abortion and birth control, you're just outlawing safe abortion and birth control
Yeah.
because people will find ways to get access to birth control and abortions however they can.
Right.
They'll find out they'll find ways however they can, and rest assured, for these politicians and whatever, they'll be able to have their daughters, wives, and mistresses will all be able to have all the birth control and abortions that they want or need. But for the common folk, we're going to be left to the wolves. And God, this is so ugly. God, it's
Yeah.
such an ugly fucking mess. And I know that there are people within Texas who are fighting. Like, I had to change my attitude about the way I viewed the southern United States because there are people fighting everywhere. You got people who are fighting from the inside as hard as they fucking can because they don't want this shit to succeed. And I hope that all their efforts will not be in vain because, oh boy, this is going to get so fucking ugly.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there are even some like Republicans who are completely against some of the stuff they're trying to do.
I believe
And
this as well.
I just really hope they start putting their voices out there so like we aren't just fighting alone, you know? Cuz like
Yeah,
we need all the help we can get with this one.
we do. And it's going to take a lot of people. Um, it's going to take a lot of work and it's going to take a lot of cooperation from people. And I hope this shit does not get derailed. It happens a lot in these movements. And I hope that we never stop fighting because we will never really be out of the woods. The moment you start getting comfortable, you'll realize that you have to keep fighting this shit. The fight against injustice is not just a one and done deal. It's not like the Battle of Helm's Deep.
Mm-hmm.
You have to keep fighting. Actually, Helm's Deep was not the last battle. in Lord of the Rings. What was the last battle that they fought against Lord Sauron? Basically, it's not. There's no last battle. You have to keep fighting. That's what I meant to say. Oh, boy, you're just hitting all the hot spots. You're just hitting all the hot spots, lady. Gosh, Juneteenth.
So you had some thoughts.
Okay, so the thing is, the black community has this thing that keeps happening where um, we have something and then white people get a hold of it and then it gets watered down, repackaged, and sold back to us. And that's what happened for Juneteenth. Never
Very
mind.
quickly, too.
Yeah, never mind that my actual job, like, we didn't have to work for Juneteenth, but the main workers, like the lower workers of the place where I work, um, we did not get paid, but everybody else did.
Oh, that's fucked.
With the unsalaried staff, there we go. The
Yeah.
unsalaried staff where I work did not get paid for Juneteenth, but the salaried workers did get paid for Juneteenth. And never mind, there are a lot of black queer people who work in unsalaried. And for us to not work for what is essentially 2 days, because Juneteenth was on Sunday, the establishment's closed. So we had Monday off instead. And for us to, be black and not get paid for Juneteenth while corporations try to celebrate it is nasty.
Mm-hmm.
Very nasty to say the least. And that's not even getting into Walmart. Walmart trying to sell Juneteenth ice cream.
That was fucking weird.
that was weird as shit. The entire black community was like, what in the hell?
What flavor was it even?
Red velvet, I think.
Oh
It
my
was a
god.
special kind of red velvet. And the funny thing was, I believe there was actually a black brand of of uh of that ice cream. Hold on. They literally tried to sell us Juneteenth ice cream, and it was Creamalicious, I believe the is the black owned ice cream brand that they were trying to copy off of. I'm pretty sure. Because I believe Blackalicious also has, Creamalicious. I believe that also has the red velvet cake.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I believe. I do believe they have that. Yes, I just looked it up. Red velvet cheesecake. Right as rain, red velvet cheesecake from Creamalicious. And yeah, they tried to do that. And Dollar Tree, which is I believe a $25 million white-owned establishment, tried to sell Juneteenth plates and cups. And I heard that the plates were flimsy.
Oh god.
So like you couldn't even use it to put the cookout food on it, you know? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. So, like, they tried to sell this shit to us and tell us Happy Juneteenth while completely ignoring, one, that's a really bad PR stunt. And two, whenever you try to sell shit to minorities as a capitalist institution, like, it's not gonna go over very well. People are kind of wisening up to it, if that makes sense. So the backlash was pretty swift.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now the damage has already been done, and so these corporations are going to try these Juneteenth things. uh, these Juneteenth marketing ploys while refusing to pay reparations. And
Honestly, I wish they stuck with the flag or the colors of Juneteenth instead of doing all the trying to sell their culture back to them.
yeah,
Sort of like with Pride, like they have all the flags and the colors and stuff. I wish they just stuck with the colors on that one, because everything
God,
else is just oh.
how do you do, fellow gays? How do you do, fellow gays? Oh God, like it's the worst. It's the worst.
Yeah,
And though there's a whole lot of bad things about Juneteenth, but the worst part is that Black people still have not received reparations,
yeah,
and reparations continue to be not on the table, if you will. Um, reparations continue to not be a point of discussion. And whenever you try to bring up reparations, white people get really, really angry
yeah,
about it.
yeah. I've
Um,
seen that as a trend.
it's, God, like, uh,
I know there are
people,
certain lawmakers who are supportive of reparations, and I do appreciate those lawmakers. So
I mean, I could say I appreciate that, but like the fact is, I am not receiving reparations,
yeah,
and
it's a fair
I
point.
deserve, I deserve some freaking reparations for the shit that I've had to put up with. Um, the United States has still not acknowledged the harm and evil that has been inflicted upon African Americans in this country, and we refuse to acknowledge the crimes that we have committed in this country, and because of that, we are going to continue to have problems. Because for as long as America refuses to admit that they have a problem, we're just never going to really accomplish anything.
Hmm.
And until this country does right by Black people, absolutely nothing else will get done. And I say this because um, Black people built this country. Black people built this country, land that is not ours. We were forced to make it what it is, and we were forced to deal with all of this evil that has been done to us, and we have become an acceptable target. It's okay to make fun of us. It's okay to exploit us. It's okay to harm us because, that's just the way it's always been, quote unquote. And until they recognize that, no, no, you guys are fucked up, and what you've done to us is fucked up. Because of that, we're never going to get anywhere. When people want to argue about Black people getting reparations, we're just going to end up going nowhere because no one wants to admit that they're wrong.
Hmm.
And it's going to be a hard road. I don't know if we'll receive reparations in my lifetime. I
Yeah, I'm not
no.
very hopeful on that.
Yeah, it does not look like we're going to get reparations in our lifetime. And to be honest, I don't even know what reparations are going to look like.
Like
Um,
if we can't even agree on just letting gay people be gay, I don't think we're gonna get reparations anytime soon.
I'm afraid so. That is definitely what it's looking like because we decided that everything is up for debate.
Hmm.
And the moment you decide people are up for debate, people's identities are up for debate, you've already lost.
Yeah,
And so it's ugly, but I remain I don't want to say positive, but I remain
optimistic.
optimistic. Maybe optimistic is too nice of a word, but I'm
Maybe.
hoping that one day we'll, I don't know, start getting it together. Start getting it together. I don't know. I really don't know.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you having me. It's been an honor to be able to speak with you, and I really appreciate this opportunity you've given me.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. It was really fun talking to you.
Yes, this has been very, very fun.
Maybe we'll speak again in the future.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and shout out whatever socials or anything you have.
Okay. Well, I'm Gigi Norez or Gigi Felix Norez, and you can find me on Twitter at the same username. I'm also on Instagram on the same username, and on those platforms you can find all of my links. If you're more interested in my writing, you can go to IOM Parker on Twitter, and I also have a card link there as well. I also have a Tumblr. Yeah, I kind of have a writing Tumblr, IOM Parker. That is AYOM Parker. And that's where I have like some of my free flowing thoughts available. But yeah, if you want to support me, you can find my links on those locations. And yeah, if you want to give me a shout out or if you have any other questions, feel free to drop me a line.
Thanks so much.
I might answer. Thank you. Thank you. The pleasure is all mine.